Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
What's up, friends? Kiev O'Neill back here to talk some college football and NFL. So I am podcasting, if you haven't heard already, from Mexico, Rocky Point, Mexico. It is beautiful outside. We're at this resort called the Bella Serena, and like nobody's here. It's crazy. I tweeted out some pictures. It's like we have all the pools to ourselves. Just it's almost like life after people here. But man, it's beautiful down here. The Sea of Cortez is way warmer than I expected because the Pacific Ocean's cold, but the Sea of Cortez, it's like bathwater over here. So I highly recommend checking out Rocky Point, especially if you live in Arizona or Vegas. It's really an easy drive here, and lots of fun can be had. There's a lot of condos here that is built. It's not too busy. They have some really good deals compared to like the places like Cabo and places like Cancun. But I tell you, we're having a blast, and I wanted to get this podcast out this week and maybe even have one on Friday to go over some more of the market stuff for the NFL and college. So we're combining college and NFL. Hopefully Sniper Wes comes on later to discuss some NFL with us. But as of right now, I'm just going solo for the for college. So we're gonna talk a little college. I'm gonna give you my three of my best plays. I'm gonna always give you three of my best plays here, and then give you some for the NFL as well, since we're combining this together. But start out. This is sponsored by sponsored by FanDuel Sports. I almost said draft. I use both books, but FanDuel Sports has been the best so far. Earliest lines. They are a proud partner of the NFL. But make sure you guys check out FanDuel if you get a chance. It's usually in your area, and just check obviously with the terms and conditions. And mostly you'll be able to. In most states, you can do all the bets. Some are limited for college props, but it's just a wonderful sports book to get on. It's FanDuel Sports, proud partner of the NFL. So I always like to start out with ATS here and college football. ATS starting at the top here. There's some undefeated. Florida State, 3-0. Texas Tech, 4-0. BYU, 3-0. And Louisiana Tech, Vandy, Mississippi State, Utah State, James Madison, Arizona, Memphis, Ohio State, 2-1. Houston, Old Dominion, all undefeated against the spread. Closing line, that is. With the biggest ATS margin is definitely Florida State and Vanderbilt right now. Utah State's kind of hanging in there too, plus 15. That's going to be a big game coming up this weekend. Next, the lowest, Clemson, 0-4, minus 17. That's terrible. 17.1 ATS margin to the negative. Oklahoma State 0-3 is minus 20.3, and UCLA is minus 25.3. The other teams that haven't covered, Georgia State, Georgia, Oregon State, SMU, UMass, Sam Houston, Virginia Tech, Penn State, Kansas State, Louisville, Liberty. Those teams are brutal right now, really tough to bet on, and those are the ones that are burning your money up. So totals. Like to go totals. All the over teams: UMass, UAB, Virginia, Air Force, Boston College, Georgia Southern, Duke, Navy, Notre Dame, Alabama, Missouri, Florida State, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Rutgers, and Washington, all undefeated to the over and to the under. Northern Illinois, Florida, West Virginia, James Madison, Arizona, Oklahoma, and that's it. Those are the teams that went under every game. And Florida is a big under team right now. I think they can't even touch an over, minus 15 points to the under ATS or over under margin. All right. Moving to the NFL, since we're combining. The only one undefeated against spread. Well, Indianapolis 3-0, and the Chargers are 2-0-1. If you're calling one of those a push. A lot of 2-1 teams, a ton of them. Over half the NFL, it seems like it's 2-1 almost. And that's because there's a couple really bad teams that haven't covered, like Houston, Denver, and New Orleans. So I find that interesting. And yeah, I think these teams eventually going to cover. Houston's already got a big fat spread coming in for this week. NFL totals to the over. We have one team that went over every time, and that's Baltimore. Then there's a bunch of 2-1s. And then the three teams that haven't went over all went under: Green Bay, Houston, and Atlanta. Houston, such a dead under team so far this year. College football, buy low, sell high. So I'm going to probably sell high on Vandy. I love Vandy, but they're getting a little bit too cute this week and a couple other weeks with their double-digit spreads. They're a really good team, but I just feel like there's going to be some spots here where you can fade them. And, you have to remember they still don't have the 4 and 5 star talent on that team. And once they have some letdowns, it's going to show once they hit some flat spots. So we'll sell high on Vandy. Buy low is kind of tough right now. I'm going to still say Auburn. I think Auburn's better than Oklahoma. They obviously got screwed out of that last game. And I think going to be one of the best teams in the SEC this year when things get right for them and they have a big game obviously coming up this weekend. So buy low on Auburn, sell high on Vandy. Stuck right in the SEC on that one, right? Good. Some other buy lows are probably Illinois. They were pretty embarrassed last week, and they're not as bad as what you saw. And another buy low team might be, man, there's some gross teams in here. Probably Kansas. They're only 1-3 against the spread. I feel like Kansas is still a little bit better than what some people are giving them credit for. So now let's talk some games. And I'm going to give you some plays first. Just make sure we have the time. I have 3 plays for you in the college football as of right now, and keep checking for us for a podcast later or possibly Friday. I'll do spaces and give you out some more plays. We're going to go Florida State versus Virginia. Virginia plus 7.5, total 57.5. This is a fun game that really caught my eye. I mean, what do we really know about Florida State? They beat Alabama good in week 1, but that was at home. They played 2 tomato cans that are probably more like artichoke cans. These the tomatoes too good for them. And I think Kent State was one of them in an FCS team. We haven't seen Florida State and Tommy Castellanos on the road. That's kind of the big thing for me. Major concern when trying to rank this team. I need to see how they perform on the road. I'm not saying that Virginia is a world beater, but man, they had a decent schedule. They have a really solid offense. They're averaging 7.7 yards per play. They should have beaten NC State on the road. You saw that choke and just probably hurt that team, but they know they can put on some points. Alabama was a big opponent against Florida State, but they dropped a ton of passes that game, if you remember. That was just more about Bama being bad than just Florida State being good. Ty Simpson, that was his big road start. So I think if that game was in Alabama, that Florida State game goes a little differently. Virginia's offense ranks 26th in EPA and 16th in yards per play. Their defense isn't great, but at least they're 29th in EPA on an easier schedule. I have this 6.5, at 7.5, it's a play for me. At 7, it's a play for me. Let's just check to see where the line is right now. So it's at 7. So we're going to give this away at 7. Virginia plus the 7. And there's plenty of books that still have 7 right now, looking at the Action Network for 2 stars. Love that home dog, baby. There's a lot of home dogs this week. There's a lot of ranked teams on the road. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here to cash in. The next game we're going to talk about is Ohio State versus Washington. Minus 8.5, total 52. It's kind of like 51.5-ish, 52-ish, I think this is the real game of the week to me. I have a lot going on Washington this year, and I know we got Georgia, Bama, and LSU, Southern Miss. There's some great games, but I'm not going to lie. I'm disappointed this spread's not higher. It got smashed last week by Brad Powers and a few other guys. And, when they smashed it at 13.5, and it's down to like 8.5 right now. I think it's getting a little too low personally, but I was hoping for like a 14.5 point spread, and they're really giving Washington a lot of credit. So it's not in the realm of betting aside for me, but I'm betting the total to the over. And I'll tell you why. First of all, Washington's a great overs team. and they just keep scoring. They're 3-0 to the over in the 3 games they played, and it's hard to stop this offense and Damon Williams. But at the same time, we don't know a ton about Julian Sayin, but in Ohio State's defense is really good, but this is their first real test since Texas. And Texas, what we find out about them, their quarterback's not that good so far in Texas. Um, I think it's going to be a fun game to watch, especially in Washington. The Buckeyes rank 6th in offensive success rate, 22nd in offensive EPA. They also have the best defense in college football, but I think the Huskies, just the way they keep scoring and keep letting people score, it wouldn't shock me if one of these teams going into the 40s. They play pretty fast, and they only slow it down at the end of the game when they're blowing somebody out, is what I've noticed. Huskies rank 6th in QBR for Damon Williams. I think he's a Heisman threat. He wins this game, he might be in the leader of the Heisman race. 3rd in offensive EPA for Washington, 9th in yards per play at 7.92. That is massive. Yeah, man. I just think the over this is too small for just such a powerful Washington offense and such a bad Washington defense right now. Washington's defense only ranks 43rd in success rate and 55th in EPA. So, yeah, it's going to be over, and I think that's going to be the best bet for this one. Real quick, I have to resend something to Wes for a link, and doing that right now, so bear with me. All right, next game. We are going to go to, I believe we're going to go to the SEC for this last game here. Or am I not giving you that one? No, we're going to stay in the Big Ten. USC versus Illinois. Illinois +7, total is 59.5. The best sports bettors look for spots where the public is really down on a team. And this is the spot, okay? This is a spot. I'm seeing a lot of 6.5s. There's a 7 out there. There's a couple 7s out there, so I'm still calling it 7. You got to get uncomfortable, man. You got to get uncomfortable, and that's the name of the game. And getting uncomfortable is seeing a team get their asses absolutely handed to them, absolutely smoked the week before, and then you bet on them. Look, USC is USC. I think they're a different team on the road than they are at home. There's a couple things about this. No team has really tested USC. And I think Illinois is kind of bulky on both their offense and their defense. Altmaier's doing a fine job. They just let the game get out of hand last week. And when Indiana's rolling, they do that to a lot of teams. Michigan State got in the back door last week. I think that Illinois, in case they're losing, can get in the back door. Illinois has at least played tough teams, as bad as they looked. And I mean, Western Michigan team, they showed last week that they beat Toledo, and they're not quite as bad as what you think, because obviously Illinois played them. And Duke, they bludgeoned Duke, and there was a lot of turnovers that game. But USC played Missouri State, Georgia Southern, okay, a bad Purdue team, and Sparty. There's really no strength of schedule that tells me that they're going to be able to lay over 7 road chalk to a team like Illinois. If your book doesn't have 7 and you don't use multiple books, I'd wait on this one, but I like the +7 here. This is going to be a first real road test in Champaign for USC this year for quarterback Maeva. Jaden Maeva is good, but and he's doing well right now, probably a Heisman contender, but this line was +2 or +3 a week before. All right. It was +2.5, +3. And you're going to look at this overreaction here. This is a massive, massive overreaction, So, I really think that this is a great spot to back Illinois. So I really like Illinois here, plus the 7, and grab that when you have a chance for 2 stars. So Ohio State over 52. Virginia +7 and Illinois +7. So those are the three plays that we're doing here. Let's do a little hodgepodge before we get too far here. Obviously, Thursday, big game, Army versus East Carolina, -4. This is a premium play we had. We got it at a much better number at -2.5. So I'm not going to give it out at -4, but I still give you a strong lean. East Carolina has the defensive EPA from a rushing standpoint to slow down Army. And they played, option teams plenty now. That Army and Navy are both in the American Athletic Conference, so they should be used to it. Army, just not the team they were last year. And, I still think East Carolina can put on some points here. So those are my thoughts for the Thursday game. Friday game, TCU versus Arizona State. That's going to be an awesome game. It's at 3. At 3 is where I start leaning towards TCU. I think -2 is probably a perfect spread for this game. TCU is a very powerful team, but Arizona State showed well as well. And I don't know. I love how TCU took out SMU last week. They're good both from the rushing and the passing side of things. So, TCU is kind of looking good to me this week. Rutgers, Minnesota. Minnesota's -5. Saturday game. I'm considering laying it with Minnesota. I'm going to look into it a little bit more, but it's a big spot for Mini coming off a bye. Rutgers with a bad loss to Iowa. Try their asses off, but if you're going to let Iowa score 38 points at home, what are you going to let Minnesota score against you on the road? Probably a good amount of points. So big Notre Dame Arkansas game. And Notre Dame has, faltered over the last couple of weeks. They can't make the playoffs. It's the big spot. I didn't even cover against Purdue last week, and Arkansas lost to Memphis straight up, but they're now at home, and this spread moved from +7 to +4. I think the move was a little bit too much, actually, but it wouldn't shock me if Notre Dame blows them away. My number on this one is definitely closer, than this spread is, and I'll bring up my power ratings on this one just to kind of double check it. I think I'm more at the 4 or 5 Notre Dame. I'm getting closer to laying this one with Notre Dame. I have Notre Dame -4.5. If this money keeps coming in, gets it down to 3.5, especially a 3, I'm going to be all about Notre Dame here. The home dogs goes far enough. If you keep all this steam coming towards it just because Arkansas is at home and they're a dog, then it sometimes turns into a public dog, and then there's more value on the road team. So that's what we're looking at, possibly making a play on that. Kansas State, don't even want to talk about them versus UCF. If there's one game I don't want anything to do with, it's UCF versus Kansas State. Absolutely gross. I just want nothing to do with this one. Georgia Southern, James Madison. This spread moved up from 12.5 to 17.5. Getting a little high. I'm starting to lean Georgia Southern here in this situation just because it's past 17 now. I like James Madison, but they're not that great. They're still a, group of 5 team, a good group of 5 team, but just still a group of 5 team. Kansas, Cincinnati. I'm watching this one. I'm thinking Kansas, but not there yet. But that's one that's going to be on my radar. Maybe when I come in on Friday and do a quick pod for you guys, we'll talk a little bit more about that, and I'll have another play for you guys. Utah State versus Vandy, and I was talking about fading Vandy. It's just sitting at 22.5. I'm going to wait till it gets to 23.5. If it does, I'll be a player on Utah State, who's also 4-0 against the spread. This is probably the flattest spot that Vandy's going to have all year. And they just got revenge against Georgia State. They beat South Carolina. And it's just a situation where I'm probably going to be definitely on the side of Vandy. All right. Next game. Man, there's a good Georgia, Alabama. We got to talk a little Georgia, Alabama. Georgia's defense did not look good on the road in Tennessee, but now they're at home, and you saw how poorly Bama's been playing on the road over the past couple of years under Kalen DeBoer. I don't like that, and it's a spot where it's like you feel like you're betting college basketball, looking at home road splits. That's the kind of situation where I'm going to be like, Bama bad on the road, Georgia pretty good at home. Stockton, the quarterback, Gunnar Stockton, looked really good at Tennessee with that big pass at the end, and he kind of proved to me that he's ready to win. Kirby wants this game bad. Alabama just has a lot of choke in them, it seems, lately. Strong lean to Georgia. I'll tell you what my power ratings have this end. And I'll bring it up right now. I'm pretty sure I have Georgia like 4 points at least. 4. I have Georgia -4 from a power rating standpoint. So I'm not completely off the market here, but I'm more to the spot where I'm leaning Georgia. Both teams really had some easy games. That Wisconsin win clearly for Alabama didn't age well, did it? I mean, Bama only 29th in offensive success rate, offensive rushing success rate 86th. They're still good in offensive PPA at 10, but their defense 38th in defensive success rate, 58th in defensive EPA. I mean, that doesn't bode well. Bama's strength of schedule ranks 31. Probably better than Georgia's at 68, but Georgia 18th in offensive success rate, 36th at rushing, and on defensive side of things, they're 45th in defensive EPA. It's kind of weird that both teams are just not the best Alabama and Georgia teams that we have seen, but I think Georgia gets it right here now that they're at home. I lean Georgia in this massive matchup. LSU, big game. LSU is not aged well. I just think they kind of got lazy. I still think they're a really good team, and they're playing Southern Miss. They're at Southern Miss, which is a little scary. This thing's almost at a pick 'em right now. Where is it at? +1.5 you can get with LSU. From a power rating standpoint, I have it pretty close to pick 'em. I think I have LSU as the slightly better team than Southern Miss. And that's what brings it close. I have LSU -0.5 if you give Southern Miss 2.5 points of home field, which is, I don't know, kind of average for college football. But, if I'm right at the spread, there's really nothing I can do about it. I think this is going to be a fun game. I might look to the over in this game. It's probably pretty, I think the over, even though LSU's defense has been pretty good so far, 54.5. It actually went down from 56.5 to 54.5. On second thought, that's pretty good. That number's probably pretty close to where it should be. I was thinking it was going to be 51.5, but now 54.5. Yeah, that's probably in the realm. God, Oklahoma State, massive home dogs. Have they quit? That's the big question. It's going to be really hard to bet them. UCLA at Northwestern. UCLA at Northwestern, baby. That's going to be a game. I think that UCLA is going to come. They're going to bring it. I mean, it's the coach's fired angle. When a coach is fired, the team steps up. Psychologically, it's a great betting spot because they want to prove it wasn't on them. Because if they suck after the coach fired, they're like, oh, I guess the players suck. That's just always the thought, and that's the thought in the back of their head. So they're going to give everything, and Nico's going to come in there and give everything that Northwestern has to handle. And I think UC would side I'm leaning on this one, but the coach's fired angle is always a great one. I'm going to pivot to the NFL now, and Sniper Wes is not here. I'm not sure if he can get here, but if he can come in, I'm gonna get him going here. And obviously, like I said, in Mexico, not the easiest place to podcast. I just don't have all my tools, but we're doing the best that we can. And I'll just go over kind of some of my thoughts on the games. Buy low, sell high in the NFL. I'm probably going to buy a little bit low on the Houston Texans. They're been embarrassed. I know there's a 7-point spread against Tennessee, but Tennessee's so bad. I almost feel like this should be an 8 or a 9-point spread. I think it's a beautiful teaser leg for the Houston Texans, and I'm probably going to be teasing that one at some point here. And it's a situation where I'm going to buy a little bit low on them. I think that I'm considering a survivor play on them. I don't know of many other places you can use Houston this year on Survivor. Yet, there's a lot of options this week. Do you want to save Detroit? Do you want to save Denver? Buffalo, you're probably going to save till next week. It's just a situation where, I'm considering using for Survivor, but it wouldn't shock me if if you play a bad team on Survivor with a bad offensive line, then that's up to you, and you get what you deserve. But what I will say is I believe DeMeco Ryans is a better coach than what they have over there. Callahan and the Texans. It's probably a home run spot for them, and I'll be using them as a teaser legs. Looking at the Thursday game, Arizona's about a 1.5. Is either a 1.5 point favorite, or it's kind of flipping, back and forth a little bit. Seattle took some money. Arizona, you can get at plus 1.5 in some books. And I don't agree with the money coming in on Seattle. I don't think Sam Darnold's any good. Kyler Murray, though, is just like a cardiac quarterback because he gives you a heart attack every time he's got the ball. He's about to cover a big spread or he chokes away a big spread. I mean, it's just happening so much with Kyler Murray games. It wouldn't shock me if the Arizona wins this. I have them as a slightly better team, but I don't have them with a huge home field advantage or anything. That's the problem. And I really have this game at 3, so I'm just going to watch this and maybe be a later player on Arizona. So I'm going to watch that one for a little while. Vikings against Steelers. This is the game in Dublin, Ireland. The Steelers are plus 2.5. This is an interesting game too because I think the Steelers are overrated. I like the Vikings somewhat in here, but it's Cayman Wentz. You're betting on Carson Wentz. Who wants to bet on freaking Carson Wentz? It's not a fun thing to do. It feels like you're betting on Sam Darnold a little bit. I think maybe Sam Darnold's better. Sam Darnold's definitely better than Carson Wentz. Let's just face it. But I don't think JJ McCarthy will be back until 2 or 3 weeks from now. So, Wentz is going to be starting, and it's hard to put your money on them. A lot of people are using Steelers as a teaser leg. It's probably going to be the most common teaser leg with such a low total. I don't like it. As bad. The Steelers were horrible last week. They should have lost that game to the Patriots. There's something wrong there. There's definitely something wrong there. And I'm going to give you a strong lean to the Vikings. Next, we have the Panthers or the Chargers versus the Giants. So this is a teaser leg for me too, because you can get the Chargers down to 0.5. The Giants are switching quarterbacks to Jackson Dart, as you know. Giants are a terribly coached team. Can Jackson Dart give them some life? Maybe this is a flat spot for the Chargers. Don't really feel like going to New York. Just won 3 division games. It's kind of a letdown spot for the Chargers. Yet I still think, definitely not using the Chargers as a survivor piece, but maybe a teaser piece makes sense. Like I say, bet on good coaches. Good things are going to happen to you, and that's Jim Harbaugh. Panthers versus Patriots. This thing went from 3.5 to 5.5, and I agree with the line move. The Patriots should have won last game, but they are completely incompetent. And who said they're not going to just fumble the game away again? Bryce Young, a little weird. They're terrible in the beginning of these games, and then somehow Bryce Young kind of comes back. Last week, they just blow out the Atlanta Falcons. Is this going to be the letdown spot for them? Or are they going to try to step up and show that they can put 2 games in a row together? I lean to the Patriots. My power ratings have this one a little bit more towards New England. Actually, I'm at -4, so now I'm more towards the Carolina now. When it opened, I was more towards New England because I was at -4, but it blew through my number. But as you see how close I am right here, I can't bet the Patriots and put my good hard-earned money on that. There's no way. Looks like Sniper Wes is here. So we're going to bring Sniper on. I'm glad he was able to make it here. He's been slammed himself this week. Sniper Wes, how you doing, sir? I saw you made it, and thank you. I'm in Mexico right now trying to choke through this podcast, so appreciate it, my man. We're talking a little NFL.
Yeah,
how are you?
Yeah, my man. Hey, sorry for the lag. I got caught up on some other shows, and they got behind, and I got behind, and here I am now. But how's Mexico? So, what part of Mexico you in again?
We are in Rocky Point. It's like Los Palomes or something, in this resort's called the Bella Serena, and there's like nobody here. It's weird. It's like our family and our friends' family have like every pool but to ourselves. It's freaking crazy. It's like life after people.
Wow.
I think maybe people will start filling in on Thursday, but our fall break for our kids starts a week before everybody else in the United States, clearly. So it's somehow worked out. I guess next week's book, but I'll take it.
Nice.
We're just getting through. But I was just talking some NFL, and I just covered a few games. Do you have anything on the Seahawks, Cardinals, Vikings, Steelers, Chargers, Giants, or Panthers, Patriots?
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of thoughts on all of them, to be honest with you. I kind of like the under in the Thursday night game. I just think, Arizona's offense, they've been stuck in neutral. They only averaged 276 yards a game. They put up 20 versus New Orleans, 15 against San Fran. They put up some points against the Panthers, but those all kind of came late. But, 3 of the last 4 head-to-heads have gone under the total here. I just think it's a defensive game. Jonathan Gannon, great defensive-minded head coach, and it's 43.5. It's actually been ticking down as well, so I do like the under there on Thursday Night Football.
Oh, it's been going down. You're on the right move. It did go through the key number of 44, so I still kind of like the under in that one, too, as a lean. How about Vikings Steelers?
So we're in Ireland here. It's kind of funny. I was thinking about you because we have Kevin O'Connell in Ireland, right? Sounds like a good Irish name. They're going to Ireland. I was like, I gotta ask Kiev O'Neill what he thinks about that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Kevin O'Connell, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. But Steelers fans and Vikings fans travel, so I mean, I don't know if there's really going to be a home field advantage. Really, it is a Steelers home game, but that's all for the birds across the pond, as they say. So I was on the Patriots I was on the over. I was on the Patriots and Steelers over last week. Okay. And if you remember, they fumbled twice or maybe 3 times at the goal line, and Drake May threw a pick at the 1-yard line. So that game could have went way over the total, and it didn't because of stupid turnovers right there at the 1-yard line. And if you think about that, if the Patriots had got in all those touchdowns, or even 2 of those touchdowns, they probably win that game. So the Steelers are quite lucky. In fact, the Steelers are lucky they beat the Jets too in week 1. So Steelers aren't all that, cracked up to be all that great, in my opinion. Vikings were impressive with Wentz. Cincinnati's defense is terrible. I get that. But Minnesota, and also, too, remember, Minnesota's playing 2 in a row here. They're playing this game in Ireland, and they play the Browns. I don't know if it's Ireland or England, but they stay across the pond for another week, too. But this is the first of those 2 games, so I think they'll be focused. Vikings are just a better team all the way around, so you're giving me -2.5 there with the Vikings. I like the Vikings there. And
I have a lean to the Vikings myself, and you know what's funny? I'm probably going to get on it. It's they just have too good of a defense that's going to stop Aaron Rodgers. Betting on Carson Wentz. It's like if you don't cover it, it's just that you're going to kick yourself. Be like, I just bet on Carson Wentz, right? But I'm hopefully betting on Kevin O'Connell myself. So I get that. So go ahead with the next game, Patriots Panthers.
Patriots and Panthers. So, like I was just talking about the Patriots, they had all those turnovers right at the 1-yard line, right? But this line just kind of screamed like bookmakers want you to take the Panthers. They're giving you, +5 or +5.5 with a team that just won 30-0, right? So you would kind of think maybe the public's going to hammer the Panthers here. I'm not sure the splits. I haven't really looked. But New England, they put up 346 yards a game. That's, pretty good, and 20 points per game. And they could have put up a lot more versus the Steelers too. Carolina, they put up 277 a game, 20 points per game. I get they put up 30 versus the Falcons. One of those was a defensive touchdown. But to be honest, I'm going to go out of the box here, man. I like the over, okay? I like over 43 points here. I think the Patriots, like I said, they could have put in a lot more last week. I think the Panthers are kind of finding themselves a little bit offensively here. And I think this has the makings of, I don't know about a shootout, but 43 points seems a little bit low. So I'm on a lot of overs here. If you want to go over all these games, I'm going to be on the over quite a bit this week. If you remember week 1, all the games went under. I think it was like 80% of the games went under. The tide started to turn the past 2 weeks. And I think this week, a lot of games are going to go over.
Yeah. 2 terrible defenses here, really, in my opinion. And Patriots should have won last week. I had a big gripe. Actually, I was on the Steelers and felt lucky last week. But if I could bet it again, I wouldn't. I'd bet the Patriots. The Patriots should have won that game. This was a considerable survivor play for me too. But It's hard to put anything on the Patriots right now for Survivor because of how incompetent they've been fumbling the ball. So it's just,
Right.
this Bryce Young, maybe Bryce Young comes in and ruins everybody's fun. If you get too cute in Survivor, you pay for it. So
Yeah.
that's the problem. Unless you're going straight dog, then let's go, baby.
Yeah.
I got to play in this game. The next one, Tampa Bay hosting the Eagles. Something's wrong with the Eagles. They're metrically not that good of a team. They get through things like, we don't even need to bring up what happened last week. I think everybody's already covered that pretty well. But it's just they should not be covering these spreads. It shouldn't be been 3-0. They should have lost a couple times already, and they're kind of injured a little bit from the defensive side. They're not really gelling. I feel like it's a Super Bowl hangover here, and the Bucks might be getting Tristan Wirfs back from injury, and I know Evans is injured, but Godwin might come back. And I'm thinking, if Evans don't make it, you still got Godwin, you got Emeka Ibuka, you got some tight ends there. I think that I think there's a good chance that the Bucks are really going to play this like, hey, we're playing the Super Bowl team. We're at home. The Bucks are a very good home team. Baker Mayfield, comeback kid himself.
Yeah.
He just kind of makes things happen. And I like the way this Bucks team is playing. So I grabbed the +3.5 in this game, Sniper.
Yeah. I mean, I could have, you just took the words out of my mouth, everything you just said. But basically a couple other points. Well, first of all, the Eagles are 3-0. They could be 0-3. The Buccaneers are 3-0. They could be 0-3. All 6 of those games came down to a field goal. So why are we not taking the +3.5 here, right? It just seems too easy.
Not, right? Yeah.
And one thing too, Jalen Hurts, he's really struggled versus Tampa in his career. I think he's either 1-3 or 1-4 straight up in his past 5 versus the Bucks. Granted, they played some playoff games the past couple of years too. But yeah, I mean, you got to take the 3.5 here in a game where every single game between the teams are coming down to a field goal. Yeah, give me the 3.5.
A huge move to the under, 48.5 down to 44. It's getting a little too low for me, to be honest with you. But I think 43.5 is a solid number. Moving on to the Commanders Falcons. Now, I didn't place a play in this game. This is another movement to the under from 48 to 45. Spread on this one, though. There's a lot of questions about Jaden Daniels. What's the upgrade between Mariota and Daniels? That's the question here. I mean, they're going to a Falcons team that blew away the Vikings, and I think that's why they're getting so much respect. But then all of a sudden, last week happens. Yeah. I say, Sniper, that the Falcons are tough to bet on because any team with a great coach and a bad quarterback, or a great quarterback and a bad coach, like the Falcons are, the latter, right? Great quarterback, bad coach. At least good quarterback so far. But I like Penix. It's just you don't know what you're going to get every week.
Yeah. Well, the line is kind of funny, man, because, obviously it's probably contingent on Jaden Daniels' news, but the Falcons, they were +2. I think they might have opened +2.5. They are -1 now. So that's some significant movement. I did get I bet the Falcons and I released the Falcons at +1.5 yesterday. And since then it's already moved down to -1. So it's looking like Jaden Daniels is not going to play. Keep in mind, the Commanders do go to LA week 5 and they play the Chargers, which is a big game for them, right? The Chargers, they're playing the Giants this week, so they're probably going to be 4-0. The Commanders, that's a game they want to go win. So maybe Dan Quinn wants to keep Jaden Daniels healthy for, week 5 against the Chargers, and maybe he doesn't play him and Mariota does play. One interesting stat that I heard, if Atlanta gives up 10 points, so the Falcons have lost 8 straight games when they allow 10 or more points. So, and I think Washington's going to put up 10 points here, even with Mariota.
That's just such a bad coach, I mean, that's on the coach if that's the case. Yeah. You're a lot more than 10 points, you lose. Jeez.
Yeah. Also, Terry McLaurin, quad injury. I don't know if he's going to play. Maybe they'll have an update on him by Friday. But I'm already in with the Falcons. I bet them. I released them, so I took Falcons money line.
Oh, fair enough. Let's move on to the next game. Browns Lions. This thing is now up to 9.5, 10. This was at like the 7.5, 8.5, and after what the Lions did to the Ravens last week, everyone's on the Lions. Kind of a weird situation here. It's like, do the Lions still keep roaring, or do they kind of let down after a short week now and go into the Browns? I was on the Browns last week, but dude, if you just stop that game after 3 quarters, not only do we not cover, We lose our spreads. The Packers are still in. Everyone's survivors are still in on the Pack. The Browns should have never came back. They're a bad team.
Yeah.
The Lions are a survivor consideration for me, but I almost want to save them, and I think there's better options.
Yeah. Like you said, yeah, do they have a letdown after the Ravens win? Because that was very emotional. Browns probably have the best defense in the league. They only give up 205 yards a game, which is very, very impressive. And they played some good offenses too. I just, so I'd have to lean under here. I can't lay 10 with Detroit and I can't take 10 with Cleveland. I just can't do it either way. But I do kind of like the under. We're sitting at 44 right now. So the question is, I kind of see it maybe Detroit 30, Cleveland 14. That would be 44 points, right? But does Detroit really get to 30 against this Cleveland defense? I don't think so. And do the Browns even put up 14 against the Lion defense that actually looked good in the second half versus the Ravens? I don't know if they do that either. So I'd probably have to lean under here or pass.
Fair enough. Let's move on to the Titans-Texans. I already mentioned that Texans are a pretty good teaser line for me. And this D'Amico Ryans is just the better coach than Callahan. And being 0-3, this is a massive spot for the Texans. And I'm considering using them in Survivor just because the Titans are the team in football. I think they're worse than the Saints. It's close. But if the Texans can't win this, there's something wrong. And D'Amico Ryans, I have more respect for him in this. And I mean, it's a divisional game. Some people don't like taking divisional games. I'm teasing the Texans down to 1, and I'm teasing them with the Chargers. So that's going to be our refuse to lose teaser this week. The Texans and the Chargers, and that's all I can say about that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, the problem with the Texans is their offensive line. They can't run the ball because their offensive line cannot block, and they can't protect C.J. Stroud either. I mean, Stroud's taking a lot of heat in the media, but if you gave Josh Allen this offensive line and this run game, he would not do well either, right? Regarding the Titans, so Brian Callahan, not a big fan of him. He did relinquish play calling duties to Bo Hardigree, by the way. Probably a good move. If you remember week 1, I was watching the Titans in Denver playing week 1. So you have Cam Ward, rookie quarterback. It's his first game playing supposedly the best defense in the NFL in the Broncos, at least week 1, we thought that. And it was almost halftime and the Titans were winning. They were up like maybe 2 points or something. They have the ball on their own 5-yard line, under a minute left before halftime. And Denver has one timeout. Brian Callahan proceeds to try to drive the ball. I'm like, why are you not kneeling this out? You have a rookie quarterback on the road, his first start ever. You're going to really, on your own 5-yard
line, we all talked about that. Terrible coaching.
Absolutely terrible play clock management. And I kind of think this just takes me back because I think he's going to get fired after this year. And it's just like the Eberflus fire, right? So you draft a quarterback, and then you get fired either midseason or after the season. Then a new regime comes in. The new regime says, oh, I'm not married to this quarterback because I didn't draft him. So it's kind of like the chicken or the egg. What came first, the crappy coach or the crappy quarterback, you know? And it seems like this happens time and time again with all these NFL teams. It just seems like they're clueless sometimes. Some of management, the Cowboys management is clueless. The Bears management, you know that they seem clueless. It seems like the Titans don't know what they're doing either. So, but I like the Texans. In fact, the Texans will probably be my survivor pick, just because I don't think I'll use them again the rest of the year. And I do think they win this game. If they're going to win any game this year by 7 points or more, it's going to be this one because their schedule's brutal after this. And they're probably not going to.
It's a home run spot for them. They're better than this. The Titans are on the road. The Titans don't have like a lot of expectations because they have the quarterback. Maybe I'm not sure if the team likes their coach either. So I know that the Titans have shown some life in some spots, but yeah. Next, I mean, I have nothing to say about Saints Bills. Do you? It's at 17 or 15.5. Can we pass on this one?
Yeah, it's under or pass for me.
Let's under or pass that one. Colts Rams. This is interesting. I like the Colts at the 3.5. I took them at 4.5, but I like them at 3. I'm just going to keep riding them until they die out here. I know the Rams should have won last week, and the Rams are in a big home run spot. But at the same time, it's mentally defeating to see what happened to them. And it's not like the Colts aren't hot themselves. I think the Colts have a fantastic offense right now, and I think Danny Dimes is hot. It shouldn't be 3.5. It should be 2.5 or 3, in my opinion. I took 3.5.
Yeah. Indiana Jones, right? It's funny. I used to call him Danny Pesos when he was terrible with the Giants, and then he became Danny Dimes, and now he's Danny Dollars because all of a sudden he's pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, probably comeback player of the year. But they go out west here. Obviously, big test for them. They did play the Broncos. The Broncos, maybe the Broncos aren't as good as we thought they were. But, other than that, they played Miami and they played Tennessee. So how good are they? I guess we will find out this week. Kind of like the over here. I think there's going to be a lot of points. Rams are obviously ticked about losing to Philly. Not a huge lean, but maybe lean over in this game.
Jags 49ers. 49ers minus 3.5. Total is, let's see here. Do you have it in front of you? My
47.
screen just died.
47.
All right, 47. Total 47. What do you have?
I love the over. This is a premium play. I bet it. So Jacksonville's 2-1, and it's probably not a popular play either. But
is Purdy coming back?
Yeah, I heard that he probably is. It's like 80% that he is coming back. To be honest with you, though, Kiev, I would not be mad at the over if Mac Jones played too, though. And the reason why, he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars, remember? So he faced this defense in practice quite a bit. So he's familiar with this defensive scheme. But Purdy likely is going to play, that being said. But the Jags, they got to get things going. Brian Thomas Jr., he's Mr. Butterfingers. He's dropping passes all over the field. Travis Hunter, I think they need to get him going. He did have a nice, catch and run last week, but they got to get him going. I think the Niners are going to score a lot of points here because the Jags defense, I think, they haven't really played anybody. That's why their scores are always so low. And I think Jacksonville kind of finally puts it together here. I love the over in this game. Over 47 for me.
Over 47 for Mr. Sniper Wes. I love it. Let's move on. I got a premium place, so I can't mention that one. Ravens Chiefs. Total 48.5 on this one, but this is kind of close to it opened closer to pick, but now Ravens are up to minus 2.5.
Yeah. So the loser falls to 1-3, which is uncharted waters for the Chiefs.
I cannot believe that. Isn't that crazy between these teams? One of these
Yeah.
teams is about to be 1-3. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, if you remember last year, though, so here's the deal, and I do like the Ravens minus 2.5, and I'll tell you why. This is actually familiar territory to the Ravens because last year, remember, I think it was the Thursday night opener, they lost to the Chiefs, and it was the toe gate. It was when the guy's toe landed, right out of the end zone. So the Ravens were 0-1. And then what happened? They went home and played the Raiders, and they lost. And they went 0-2, which knocked a bunch of people out of Survivor. And then I think they won their next game. So they were 1-2. But my point is they're used to having to dig their way out of a hole. The Chiefs are not used to digging themselves out of a hole, right? KC can't run the ball. When Patrick Mahomes is your leading rusher, that is not a good thing at all. And, they beat the Giants, but the Giants aren't all that great. And I'm going to roll with the Ravens. I think that they kind of, it's a terrible game it's a terrible second half against the Lions. And they should have beat the Bills too. So I kind of think they put everything together and they play 4 quarters of football here, which they tend to not do. They don't play 4 quarters. They tend to play 3.5 a lot of the time. But I'll take the Ravens minus 2.5 here.
All right. So Ravens for you, I'm staying away from this game. We only have a few minutes left and I want to get to the beer bet bangers. So, Bears Raiders, 2 sentences per game. Bears Raiders, Raiders minus 1.5, and total of this game is
48.
At 48 or 38.
Yeah, it's 48. Yeah, okay. I like the over. I like over 48. I think there's going to be a lot of points. Raiders defense not that good. Bears defense not that good. Bears look like they put the stuff together last week. Although the Cowboys defense is terrible, I get that. But I think it's a shootout here in Vegas.
All right, Bears Raiders over 48. I have nothing on that game. I lean over. Packers Cowboys.
Love the over here, over 47. The spread actually came down from 7 to 6.5, which makes me like the over even more. That makes me think the Cowboys will be slightly active. It's my biggest play of the week by far. Love the over. I think the Packers are pissed about losing to the Browns. They probably put up 34, 35 themselves. Cowboys.
And
have
the
to get
Packers
through
are laying what, 7 now on the road?
it. It was 7. It went down to 6.5. But yeah, I think I like the Packers too, but I just think there's going to be a lot of points on both ends. So give me the over 47.
Yeah, it went up to 7 and then it went back down. So it's kind of one of those movements both ways. It's hard to do that for your sharp takes. It's like, well, the sharps put it up and other sharps put it down. What can I do? You know, when we say sharps, these are conglomerates, syndicates, and just groups, right? Betting groups. Jets, Dolphins. So this got the +3. And it's +2.5 in some books. I took the Jets at +3 because I think and it'll be another play we're giving out +3 on the Jets. I think the Dolphins are in shambles, and you don't know what you're going to get. And sure, they showed some life against Buffalo, but Buffalo is just kind of going through the motions that game. And Buffalo had a really injured defense. I mean, I think Justin Fields plays. He gets through concussion protocol. Even if Tyrod Taylor plays, I'm not that worried about it. It's a very incompetent, poorly coached Dolphins team. Whenever you get +3 or more and two bad teams playing each other, you take the dog. That's the rule.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the over. I think this one actually gets there.
Blanketing the over, man. I hope the over goes crazy for you this week, Wes.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I like a lot of overs this week. It's over 45. It's do or die too for McDaniel, man. He's got to show up here. He might get fired if they lose this game. He's an offensive coordinator, though, man. He's not a head coach. Just like guys like Eberflus. I don't even know if Eberflus should be a defensive coordinator, to be honest with you. But
I love how he went to Chicago and then the Bears just destroyed him.
Yeah, like Saleh, right? He's a great defensive coordinator, not a good head coach. Fangio, great defensive coordinator.
Well, Eberflus is good at neither. He was a fraud the whole time, but unfortunately, people like the Bears are attracted to frauds. So
one more game here. We got Bengals. We got Bengals and Broncos.
Broncos, man. Well, speaking of another the bad Sunday night game, and now you have a Monday night game with a quarterbackless Bengals, man.
Yeah. So I'm against the grain here. I like the Bengals, man. I like the Bengals. We're getting 7.5 now, and I'm probably on an island. That's okay. They got embarrassed by the Vikings. I get it. Jake Browning looked terrible. I think they show up and they play quite well here. Denver probably should be 2-1, not 1-2, if it weren't for the dumb, special teams penalty. But they haven't played like a number one defense like they were supposed to be. Bo Nix has not played that well either. He needs to live up to expectations here. I think this is just a game where it's the never figure league and they call it that for a reason. Give me the Bengals here +7.5. You're going to give me the hook too. I'll take the hook.
All right. Well, the Broncos are a great teaser leg. I still might take Broncos for Survivor. It's between the Broncos, the Raiders, the Broncos, who was it? Well, I looked at the Patriots. The Texans. The Broncos, the Texans, and the Lions are my thoughts on survivors between those. I can't use the Patriots, just too incompetent. Beer bet bangers, my friend. Any plus money? And you just said the Bengals. Do you like them to win outright?
Man, I don't know if I have the stones to do that, man. I'm not mad at your Jets pick, though. It's only 3 points. But I can see the Jets going in there and being the Dolphins. The Dolphins are they have all sorts of issues. And the Jets are in a desperate situation too. I mean, Aaron Glenn, he's probably going to be a decent head coach. And I could see maybe the Jets winning that game. You can't really do that. Maybe the Colts do beat the Rams. I know you like the Colts this week. Maybe the Colts are for real. Jonathan Taylor, he's running the ball.
Sure.
Solid defense. Maybe the Colts can beat the Rams. So there's a couple dogs that are going to be active this week.
Yeah, I'll go with you. How about this? You go with the Colts with your beer bet banger, and I'll go with the Jets for my beer bet banger. I think the Jets are going to win. It's plus money right now, +120, +125. It's a small one this week, and like I said, I'm out. I'm about on vacation. Otherwise, maybe I'd find a good future for you, but always sprinkle the money line when you're taking 3+ dogs and a situation where I think the Jets are going to win. The Colts definitely have a chance to win outright as well. Wes, you've been awesome, man. Where could our viewers and listeners get your wonderful information?
I'm over on X at the SniperPicks, and you can find me. I'm all over a bunch of different websites online. If you just Google Sniper Wes, you will see everywhere I am. But mainly on Twitter is where I put all my stuff at the SniperPicks.
All right, make sure you guys check out Sniper Wes. Wes will be tweeting this weekend. Best of luck in all your plays.
Thanks, Kiev.
All right, my friends. So now that brings us to some sharp money movement. And I gave out my refuse to lose teaser already, which we're going with the Texans -1, Chargers -0.5. We're 3-0 in refuse to lose teasers. All right, 3-0, baby. Let's make it 4-0 this week. And they win every year. If you only bet one thing for me, bet the refuse lose teasers. They never lost. We never had a losing season and refuse lose teasers. Now find a book that does -110. There's a few out there. If you're looking for a book, tweet me and I'll let you know one. But I just think both of those teams are going to win, and very in great situations here. So sharp money, sharp college football. Sharp money on Arkansas +7 to +4, hosting Notre Dame, 73% of the tickets and 83% of the money. James Madison -12.5 to -17.5, hosting Georgia Southern, 55% of the tickets, 76% of the money. Washington +11.5, hosting Ohio State. It's down to +8.5. So that was a big movement here that happened over the last week. 55% of the tickets, 65% of the money. Baylor -17.5 to -21.5 at Oklahoma State, 90% of the tickets, 95% of the money. And New Mexico -8.5 to -14, hosting New Mexico State, the rivalry, 54% tickets and 77% of the money. Sharp totals: Florida State versus Virginia, over 51 to 59.5, 34% tickets, 81% of the money. Notre Dame versus Arkansas, over 58.5, 64.5, 35% of the tickets, 75% of the money. USC versus Illinois, over 56.5 to 6.5, 39% of the tickets, 84% of the money. Duke versus Syracuse, over 55.5 to 60.5, 39% of the tickets, 75% of the money. Arizona versus Iowa State, under 49.5 to 48, 36% of the tickets and 48% of the money. Sharp NFL. And as of Wednesday, again, Seahawks +2.5 to -1.5 at the Cardinals, 84% of the tickets, 95% of the money. Vikings pick them to -2.5 versus Steelers in Ireland, 44% of the tickets, 67% of the money. Chargers -4 to -6.5 at the Giants, 70% tickets, 90% money. Patriots -3.5 to -5.5, hosting the Panthers, 47% of the tickets and 72% of the money. Sharp totals: Panthers versus Patriots, under 44.5 to 43.5, 71% of the tickets and 82% of the money. Eagles versus Buccaneers, under 47.5 to 44. 73% of the tickets, 78% of the money. And Commanders versus Falcons, under 48.5 to 45.5, 66% of the tickets and 9% of the money. To recap, Virginia, we'll do college and NFL. Virginia +7, Ohio State over 52 against Washington. Illinois +7, hosting USC. Now NFL, the Bucks +3.5. Texans and Chargers in the teaser, of course. Colts +3.5. And the Jets +3. Gave you quite a few of those NFLs, and obviously everything that Sniper Wes said. My friends, thank you so much for putting up with me during this show in Mexico. I was glad to be able to do something for you. Hopefully you got something out of it. The free picks been killing it. I think we're like 6-0 or something in the last 6 plays, just going out on the website. So make sure you check it out. Really appreciate you guys, tweeting at me, and any questions that you send us is great. And just really happy with how things are going in general. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the week and go get some winners.